Hey, from Chicago, Illinois on Facebook Live, it's Bess Navarra from Music Direct and musicdirect.com. Good to see you today. I hope you are doing well, given the world being what it is these past few months. We hope you're safe, you're healthy, and that above all, you're enjoying your time watching great programs like this. Music Direct does this every so often, and for good reason. We want to interface with you because, social media is a thing, I guess. But seriously, though, if you're checking us out and you're seeing us for the first time or don't know who Music Direct is, go visit us on our Music Direct Facebook page and our social media networks. Show us a little love. Show us a like. Let us know what you think of our pages, what you know what our products are all about, and a look at what's been happening in the world at Music Direct. Don't forget also, we're a click away at musicdirect.com, where you can sign up for our weekly Soundbites emailer and get to know Music Direct's products through its specials, music content, and more importantly, the ability to see programs like this as we schedule them throughout the month of June and even later into July. You want to be part of this grand experiment as we have these conversations from the listening room, where we get a chance to really sit down and talk to these people who are in our industry, some who have been around for a great long time and have plenty to tell, plus the new stars of the moment who've been making their input and their impressions on this industry well known through the companies that they've aligned with. For today's edition of Conversations in the Listening Room, we bring in Joe Buechel. Now, when I first met Joe a couple of years ago, right around that time, Music Direct had just started its partnership with Cambridge Audio. And Cambridge Audio is a company with its own history, starting in 1968 and becoming one of the fast-known brands of audio in the world today. One of the big tenets, however, for Cambridge is the ability to create product in just about every price category while keeping it real. And by that I mean affordably real. It's loaded with a lot of great opportunities. It has the ability for you to run your streaming services on it through a number of different ways, through a number of different components. But there's also a line of components that keep it simple. Simple integrated amplifiers, simple phonostages, even a simple CD player or transport is at your disposal. That's only just part of the story with Cambridge Audio, and Joe Buechel is one of the reasons why. And Joe is joining us for this very special conversation from the listening room. Good morning, Joe.
Morning, Bess. How you doing?
I'm doing extremely well. Nice to have you with us. Looks like you're nicely holed up in your house.
Have been for a while.
Yeah, I bet it must have been very interesting when the word was given to say, "Hey, I'm out of here. I gotta get home," and you had to really retrench yourself. Was it a difficult transition for you at that time?
You know, it's definitely a transition. I wouldn't maybe say difficult, but it's one of those things that of course, if I had been paying attention, it really wouldn't have come out of nowhere. But it's almost like it hit me out of nowhere. Because before it was mandatory, that we had to work from home. I had been working from home for like the past week because I had, some other things I had to do and I had some other meetings I had to attend and stuff like that. So I'd been working from home for about a week or so. And then, Greg, my boss, gave the final word saying that, okay, everybody has to work from home now. And so, I just had been starting to work from home just for a little bit longer than everybody else. So it's kind of like, that the extra week makes you a little more stir crazy.
I get it. Let me ask you this. I mean, you obviously have had the ability where some of us at Music Direct have not to actually begin the process of working from home because it does give you a bit more mental flexibility. But recognizing that now that we're in this unique time for all, have you taken stock of what it's like to be in this situation? How did you sort of balance your work life so that you could continue to be that brand ambassador for Cambridge Audio while at the same time being Joe Buechel, dude about town here in Chicago?
Yeah, well, no, it's a great question, and it is something that's kind of hard to really get when you first start going because I wanted to make sure that I was getting to all of our customers' needs, and it can sometimes cloud you from actually taking care of yourself. Luckily, I didn't experience anything like that for too long, but I realized a little bit. I was like, okay. I need to make sure that every customer is getting the attention they need, and that I'm getting the attention I need for myself. So it's a little bit of a hard transition, but at the end of the day, I think, and this would speak for everybody who's working at Cambridge Audio as well, that we've kind of now settled into a great flow where everybody is performing to the best of their ability while working from home. So it's something that it takes a little bit to get into, but now that we've been doing it for so long, it's almost like it's almost strange now that sooner or later we're going to have to end up going back into the office. So it was a nice, pretty quick and painless transition. But yeah, I mean, it's something you have to pay attention to, because being cooped up like this, you have to do a little bit more than your traditional work-life balance, right?
What, frying an egg and answering a call isn't a problem? I'm just curious here.
No, I typically fry my eggs while I'm on the phone.
Ah, there we go. Now that's multitasking if I've ever heard it. I think that's amazing. Before we went to air, I needed to get to know Joe Buechel because, yes, we've done our product training together. We've all, as a sales team at Music Direct and musicdirect.com, got to know a fairly fast track into the history of Cambridge Audio. But along the way, I think one of the things that I have to look at is uh, how does a guy like Joe Buechel jump into this game? I have my story. I've told it to customers a million times about the day I picked up a job post off the wall of my college and mysteriously ripped it off and put it into my pocket and then got the job. But I'm sure yours is a little bit different. You come from a background where you began life as a music student at nearby North Central College here in Illinois. Where did that DNA transition over into your role in the team over at Cambridge Audio?
Well, I would say that being, a musician and having gone to school for music was definitely a very big help in terms of getting acclimated into the hi-fi world. Because yeah, I mean, before I started working for Cambridge, I really didn't know much of anything about hi-fi. Yeah, I had never used any hi-fi products in my life, and the hi-fi products that I did use were not of the quality that I am now used to. Um, but no, I mean, when I went to North Central, I studied basically general music, and I was able to kind of take my major and form it in the ways that I wanted, and really pay attention to the different facets of music that I wanted to, rather than going on one specific track. So I studied a lot of music composition. I also, studied piano and voice were my two main instruments, and then also music technology, recording technology, and stuff like that. And I would say that was the biggest help in terms of being at least a little, you know, equated with what hi-fi is. So I had done some interning at some local Chicago recording studios, which were really great experiences. Anybody who's currently studying music in college, I would definitely recommend it. It's fun to do, and it provides you with a lot of great contacts in the music industry. But yeah, knowing all that information about recording technology and music technology and different types of cables and stuff like that is really what helped me get acclimated to the hi-fi industry. When I first went to my job interview, I spoke with one of the other people who work there now, Kyle Nowakowski, and I was able to use my knowledge and kind of steer my way through their questions without sounding like a complete idiot. So I guess I did something right.
You mean they didn't do what I had to do, which was to have the future sales manager that I'd report to go, here, pick up this iPad and sell it to me. That was a trial by fire, I must admit, back when I look back at my long career. So education, music, you obviously have a passion for it. You went through the firing squad over at Cambridge, and suddenly, out of the blue, comes the opportunity for you to accept the job, and you got to fly yourself to England. I bet that must have been really intense for you when you visited Cambridge's headquarters in London, in one of the more Tony busy neighborhoods down there by the Thames. What was the first reaction when you walked through the doors, and how did you feel upon your initial training to become a member of their elite team?
Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely a bit of a culture shock once you get to London. Yeah, I had never been to London before, and so I had been working for Cambridge about a week. And this is the great thing about Cambridge; they really care about getting everybody who works for them accustomed to the cultures of the UK, as well as the philosophical beliefs in terms of British hi-fi and Great British Sound. And so I've been working there for about a week or so, and my boss Greg comes over to me and says, "Hey, we're gonna send you to London so you can get to meet the UK team, get some faces with some names." And I'm trying not to, have the biggest grin on my face, like it's not a big deal that, I'm going to be going to London, for this company. But of course, it's this crazy, amazing thing. And I'd never been to the UK before, so I was really, really excited. And walking into the headquarters at Cambridge Audio was really, really something special. Because, I mean, I've had a lot of interviews before I started working with Cambridge, so I really got a wide spectrum of different companies, and I guess they're different beliefs in terms of being music companies in Chicago, and there's really nothing quite like Cambridge. I walk in there, and it's kind of really this high speed, high energy pace that everybody's working at, and it was really something to see, especially after a 9-hour flight to London. And I walk in there, and everybody's running around like crazy. Everybody knows each other, and I'm immediately taken by Harry, who is in the marketing department. He takes my photo for my company headshot, and it shows me a little groggy after my 9-hour flight. But yeah, walking into the Cambridge headquarters is really something great because one thing about them, they're a really music first company. And one of the ways that they really, really exemplify that is that the first floor of their headquarters was turned into an event space called Melomania, which is, of course, our Melomania One True Wireless earbuds are named after the Melomania event space that we have. And so I was able to see a lot of live events there while I was there. And so, yeah, I mean, everybody there is just kind of super music first, right? Everybody loves music, and it's basically all about music all the time. So it was a great opportunity for me not only to go over to London and sightsee and do all these things, but also to really kind of take back to Chicago that sort of energy and that love of music and that drive of music informing what we do as a hi-fi company. So to be able to see that and then be able to take that away from Cambridge Audio is something that I'm extremely grateful for, and it was a great, great feeling and a great opportunity.
I love a great story like that. That really tells me a great deal about you and the methods by which our friends out there at Cambridge really took to the task of molding you into the person that you are now. And I'm deeply grateful for every chance we get when we do get together and commiserate and talk audio. You're learning from me. I'm learning from you. It's a shared experience. So let's go a little bit into the subject of Cambridge Audio as a product line for us.
Mhm.
As we said at the onset, we started carrying the line only a few years ago. And just shortly after that, Cambridge Audio announces its footprint in the Wicker Park neighborhood of Chicago. I remember when I visited the office, it was still under construction. Greg Chopper, your GM there, I was like, dude, this is a storefront. And what are you going to do with this space? But you've really turned it into your own. You had a great pop up during Record Store Day, which also coincided with Exmona a couple of years ago. So that turned out to
Mhm.
be a really good successful deal. But the brand itself, for those who don't know it, for who are watching for the first time, what can we say to them and give them a sense of what's happening in the world with Cambridge Audio? What are you mentioned Great British Sound. That's been the long-standing touch point for us when we're talking about it with our customers. But since you were there, since you talked to the designers, what truly is Great British Sound?
Well, yeah, Great British Sound. You know, if you've seen any Cambridge gear, if you're interested in Cambridge at all, you might have seen it on our gear or on any of our, promotional material and of our marketing material. It's something that we really want to exemplify as a company. It's one of our great philosophical ideas that we go into designing every piece with Great British Sound in mind. And if you don't know what Great British Sound is, it's basically a commitment to presenting audio exactly as it was intended, right? Exactly as the record producer laid it down on that first day when they recorded the track, right? Exactly how that record producer wanted it to be heard. That's how we want to reproduce that music. And that's what we want you to hear when you listen to it. So we don't want to add anything. We don't want to take anything away. We don't want to mess with any equalization. We want to present truly authentic audio. And so that's kind of what the Great British Sound is all about. It's all about basically just a true representation of the audio that you're listening to.
And I think that goes down the line. If we look at everything from the CX series of products, which we sell at our website at musicdirect.com. And one of the great things that I get to see about those products is how simple they are. There's no pretensions on any of the design. But that said, there's got to be something under the hood. What do you see when you crack open a Cambridge audio piece for the first time? What are they getting for that kind of special value?
Well, of course, they're getting the best components, that we've selected for every specific unit, right? The CX series is a great example. First, we want our products to be affordable, right? And I would say one of Cambridge's goals as a company is to introduce people into the world of hi-fi, right? We have, CX is kind of like our mid-range stuff. We also have stuff above, stuff below in terms of cost. But CX is kind of that range where it's like you're getting these high performance, great electronics for a really affordable price, especially for all the things that you can do with them. But I would say one of the great things about if you ever look at kind of an uncovered Cambridge piece, the designers at Cambridge they're extremely talented. All the engineers, everybody in the R&D department who goes into creating these products and designing them, they're extremely talented, way more talented than I. They're true masterful designers. And one of the great things about taking off the hood and looking at one of these pieces is it's the way they've been able to lay out the design of all these different pieces. Everything is put in a place for a reason. So it's not only just a box that we throw a bunch of junk in and you can Bluetooth and play all your music. It's something that was carefully curated, carefully designed, and with every different component that we put in, if we were testing two different DACs, it went through a rigorous, very rigorous listening session, right? So anytime anybody made changes, we had almost everybody at the company listening to it and saying like, this change was good or this change wasn't good. We need to use that old piece or we need to use this new piece, right? So it's this really attention to detail and care about the gear that I would say is very special about Cambridge, and that's what customers are getting. Not only just a big box that's going to play your music, but it's the love and care of these people in the UK and the people in the US who put their lives and their hearts and souls and all their passion for music into this gear. And they want it to be affordable and they want it to be simple, like you said. And that's another thing that we really want to do because a lot of people have this. There's a big discourse on analog versus digital. What's better? What should you use? What should you focus on? And as a company, we actually had a discussion about this recently, a few coworkers and I. And basically, Cambridge says we want to take the best of both worlds and put them together, right? So we want a simple interface, something that's easy to use, and any way you're going to listen to music, we want it to be available on our gear. So that's kind of the care and the energy that we put into our pieces.
Yeah, that's a great sentiment and certainly a great message in terms of the under the hood kind of thinking. It does kind of challenge those more dyed in the wool audiophiles, regardless of demographic, that Oh, this is really nice. This is really, really simple, but the technology is such that, it does only limits to certain things. And I think you basically have taken that argument and just turned it upside down and said, please, there's nothing wrong with our gear. Turn it on and play it for yourself. So, as a musician, you've obviously had the stuff in your house. In fact, it's safe to say there's some equipment directly behind you.
Yeah, my, my beauty right here.
So, so now that the cat is out of the bag on that one, and you've had a chance to listen to the gear over the time that you've been there. If you were to give a music direct a customer or a person who now has firsthand knowledge of listening to Cambridge audience, your own impressions of it, what do you say in that regard?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, um, the Great British Sound is something that is put into every product that Cambridge has, right? And I would say, essentially, kind of what it boils down to is that every type of music sounds great on Cambridge gear. Because as a musician, I studied classical music. I studied contemporary music, and as a kid, of course, I studied all the great classic rock, and as I started to develop, getting into more electronic music, rap and hip hop, and a little bit of old town, old school country in there. So I listened to an extremely wide variety of music, or at least I like to think that I do. And everything sounds great on a Cambridge system, and that's something that I think really is a testament to what these pieces can do and what we want them to do. So I've been using it, of course. Now commuting from Chicago, I haven't been able to really give them the love and care and use that they deserve. But now, of course, that I'm stuck in my house every day, I've been using this thing basically every day. And so to have that much music, and I have much more of an understanding of what the sound of Cambridge is all about. So yeah, I mean, it's something that, like, your favorite track by your favorite artist of your favorite genre of your favorite year is going to sound fantastic on Cambridge gear. And I think that's what I would say to anybody who knows Cambridge audio and is thinking about getting into it, or doesn't know Cambridge audio at all. Basically, yeah, just that. Every musical genre you can think of sounds fantastic on Cambridge gear. And that's yeah, enough said.
Preach it, preach it. Uh, it was last year, I believe it was, that uh, the folks over at Cambridge decided to do something way off the charts. And that was basically introduce us to the world of the digital audio. I'm sorry, the turntable.
Mm.
And of course, it's Music Direct's bread and butter when it comes to the business of records and analog in general. But when we received our first Alva TT with its pre-mounted cartridge, built-in onboard phonostage, and of course Bluetooth capability, this sort of set a precedent for us. We had not been tinkering with that thought of having that kind of a product in our mix. But sure enough, there it is. And on first impression, from me picking it up, putting it down, you watching with your eyes, going, "Hey, this is our beta unit, man. Put it down." Um, it kind of, it kind of had me really, really stoked, and it was definitely something to get to know. For those who don't know about it, number one, why why the urge to make a turntable that some traditionalists will sit there and go, well, it has this, but I don't want that. Whereas it making a turntable that was engineered in the final run, as you pointed out in your introduction, that every audiophile, every music lover will like it because it has just everything you could ask for, and it's just ready to play and give you true music. And that's really, I think that's really what I see in it. So I'm just curious about its genesis, your feelings on it, and what people can expect when they hear it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the great thing about the Alva TT, the turntable that Cambridge developed, um, I was lucky enough to basically start working for Cambridge when that product was in the early stages of its inception. So when I went over to London, I was able to see, like a pretty early design of it. And for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm a pretty big record guy. I love physical media, and big records that I can hold in my hand are some of my favorite things, and some of the things that I spend most of my money on. So I was very excited when I heard that Cambridge was going to be putting together a turntable, and yeah, it's a fantastic product, and the basic idea behind its design is exactly what you said. It's plug and play, right? So when you get this turntable, if you order it and you get it in the mail, basically as soon as you open the box, it's about a 5 minute setup, and then you're playing music, which is fantastic because I've had other record players in my life, where it takes me about an hour to set up the thing and put on the counterweight and correctly balance it and everything like that. So to have such a very intuitive setup process for the Alpha TT is fantastic, and it's something that I always say. It's like no matter if this is your first turntable or if it's your 100th turntable, it's going to be something that you can pick up, set up, and play within 5 minutes. So it's a fantastic turntable, and we really wanted it to be as simple as possible. The turntable essentially has everything built in, right? The phono stage is built in. It has a pre-mounted cartridge, so right when you get it out of the box, the cartridge is already on there. And then it'll come with a stylus gauge, so you can properly measure the counterweight. It comes, with a platter, and then it basically has everything you're gonna need, and you're not gonna have to really buy anything else. And then, of course, it has the great added convenience of aptX HD Bluetooth. And yeah, that's something that a lot of people kind of give pause to, especially some of the you know audiophiles that are out there who kind of don't really believe in Bluetooth or don't like it. And that is definitely something that's kind of been in debate, in audiophiles for a long time now. But I would say that the evolution of Bluetooth is something really to marvel at. Used to be super simple, easy convenience that didn't sound great, but it was easy to do. So it was cool. You could put it into everything, and you had it there, and it was nice and easy. But now, Bluetooth has evolved to the point where you can have Bluetooth that has above CD quality sound, and that's exactly what the Alpha TT has, and what our new electronics have, like the CXA 61 and the CXA 81. They both have aptX HD Bluetooth, installed. Basically, what aptX HD is it transmits a 24-bit 48 kilohertz Bluetooth digital signal. So if you have a device that's capable of aptX HD audio, like the Alpha TT, and you have a device that can accept aptX HD audio, Bluetooth, then you can connect them. And it's a super easy process. So the idea of simplicity and the idea of basically what I always say is it's a turntable for people who love music, not people who love turntables, right? Because some people want all that customizability, right? They want to try different tone arms, different platters, different cartridges, different dust covers. They want to try all that different stuff. But this turntable is all about taking it out of the box, setting it up, putting a record on, and just enjoying it. So
Yeah,
that's what the turntable's all about.
no question about it. And to those of us, to those of you who know us at Music Direct, we sell a lot of turntables. That's been our life story since more than 3 decades ago. But when a product like the Alva TT walks into our showroom, we all have to sort of go, is this going to fit everybody we want to sell it to? Of course it is. That's almost too easy. But as you alluded, it's a beautiful sounding turntable. One of my favorite parts about it is the daring inclusion of a high output moving coil cartridge on it. This is a design that I've never seen before. It looks like it could have been coming from any company that's out there that would OEM it for you guys, but yet there's a certain originality to it. And for those of us who've had a chance to listen to it on varying degrees of equipment, whether it's Cambridge Audio Electronics or our own house systems that we have in our listening rooms here in Chicago, one can get a really good sense of purity in the listening experience. It doesn't take away. It doesn't over accentuate. It doesn't overpopulate your listening experience. And also to your benefit of having aptX Bluetooth, our experience with aptX, whether it's on your turntable or other products that support that high resolution format, it's a game changer. There's no question about it. It's
Definitely.
not the system that you sit there and go, okay, play it in my car, and you expect it to be absolutely perfect, only to get really lousy resed material. Somebody who wants to be able to use it in a more contemporary urban experience. So let's say a studio apartment at Marina City. Yeah, I want one of those. Or or any place where equipment is at a minimum. So if you have a pair of powered speakers that has a Bluetooth receiver on board, transmit away, because this sucker is going to do exactly what it's going to do. And at the bit rate of 2448, that is above CD level. For those who don't know,
Yeah.
CDs broadcast, or I'm sorry, play at a 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz operating rate. That's pretty good dynamic range. I mean, that's enough for the human ear to really enjoy, provided, of course, it's well recorded and yada yada yada. But vinyl calls for
Yeah.
that, calls for that different edge, and for a Bluetooth transmitter to give off that extra edge and not disturb the analog playback, that is really something that I think people need to stand up and take notice with a product like the Alva. And I applaud everybody at Cambridge for their skill set in creating that product. But the Alva goes on to be part of a bigger uh, category of products. Something that when it was introduced in, I think it was 2017, 2018, just before it went live to market, everyone was sitting there and going, wait a minute, these products are way above the pay grade for some people at this point. But in reality, it's just as affordable as some of the other products from its many competitors. I'm referring to the Edge series of components. So we have three different pieces of equipment. We have their network audio processor player. We have the integrated amplifier, and then we have the power amp. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering, um, what what was the impetus to put the Edge products into the marketplace?
Well, the yeah, the Edge line of electronics has a fantastic story. Um, I started working for Cambridge Audio in February of 2018, and Cambridge Audio as a company was founded in 1968. So that was our 50th year as a company. So before I even started, about 3 years before 2018, they wanted to do something very, very, very special for their 50th anniversary. They wanted to do something they've never done before. They wanted to release something that looked completely different than anything they've ever done, and that's kind of how Edge came about. And one of the big philosophies behind the design of Edge and the components that are used in Edge is essentially we had the team of designers and engineers who were working on Edge, and Cambridge said to them, uh, "Now think of the perfect, ideal hi-fi system that you would want. That doesn't exist, no preconceived notions about anything. What you would want as a music listener, what would you want in your hi-fi?" And that's what Edge was all about. So again, this was the I would say the best example of taking that idea of a heavy listening session between each and every component that is in the Edge system, and we were able to develop some very very amazing pieces. So yeah, there's the Edge A, the integrated amp, which kind of takes the best of both worlds in terms of analog and digital, combines them and creates this true powerhouse of an integrated amp. It's definitely weighty and it's got some great technology inside of it. And this is actually something I recently talked about. Cambridge Audio, since we've been working at home, we've been doing this thing where we have talks like this with other people who work for Cambridge Audio, and we've basically been going through a lot of the components and talking about some of the technology. And we did an episode. If you go to our Facebook page, you can find all these archived, live talks that we have like this. And we did one on the Edge range. So if you're interested in some of the technology that's in there, it's this proprietary technology we developed to make Edge to be as best as it could be. I'd say definitely check those out. We do them every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. So if you want to know about Cambridge or about the people who work for Cambridge, some of their favorite music, like this Thursday, we're going to be doing our favorite movie soundtracks. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. So it's just something that we have fun with, and we really love to do. So there's a lot of great information about Edge there, but I'll try and condense it to as best as I can. So yeah, there's the Edge A, which is fantastic powerhouse of an integrated amp, and then there's the Edge NQ, which not only being a network player, it's also a dedicated preamplifier because it also has analog and digital inputs. So it kind of has it's basically an all-in-one hub, right? For all of your analog needs, all of your digital needs, all of your streaming needs, it's all in there. And then the Edge W, which is just a dedicated power amp. But the great thing that we did about that is, typically between the input and the output, in some of our other amps, like the 851 series, if you're familiar with Cambridge, 851 used to be our previous flagship line. There was about 41 components between the input and the output stage within the signal path. But with the Edge W, we were able to knock that down to 14. So between the input and the output of the Edge W, there's only 14 components that your audio signal is going through, which was really something quite amazing. And basically, we figured the less components we have in the way of the audio path, the less chance we have to mess anything up. So in terms of the Great British Sound, it's all about not colorizing the sound, not changing it in any way, and having only 14 components in the signal path is kind of a way to exemplify that.
That would be
And
generally. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. That would be generally found in more expensive componentries, as I've seen over the years, where they take as much energy to minimize the result of componentry so that it reduces crosstalk or other anomalies that are consistent with product design. But you guys, when I look at those products and see see its architecture, its form factor, you still manage to put a lot of good gear inside that box.
yeah, definitely. It's like I was saying earlier about the inside of all of our machines. There's a lot of great care put into the architecture, as you said, of all of our pieces. And Edge is kind of that's the that's the best of the best in terms of what we got. It's fantastically designed. Everything that's in there, it's in there for a specific purpose. It does a specific job, and everything works together to make it so that all these pieces blend. And it's the best sounding gear we've ever made. It's the most expensive gear that we've come out with, although not as expensive as some other really high class pieces. With the Edge A being 6,000, the Edge NQ being 5,000, and the Edge W being 4. It's amazing the amount of quality that you're getting for the price, and that's something that we've wanted to do as a company. It's basically we want to get you the best quality that you can for the best price. And that's something, even as we get into these really expensive pieces, that's something we still hold dear and we still want to uphold.
No, that's great. One of the things that, of course, binds us together is music, whether it's the records that you constantly call me to order. I don't know why, but but also many of the pieces of equipment. You're one of the first companies to really delve deep into the thought of creating network audio players in a time when people could be busy just doing their own tinkering, coming up with their own little boxes and so forth, and yet you still make it very affordable. And along the way that I've discovered is the architecture that goes under the hood of making the apps that are designed for your products are, in my opinion, some of the easiest ones to deal with. So whenever I have to deal with your CXN V2 or other devices, I'm able to talk a customer through it. But sound quality, digital, it's here, and streaming, it's here. And the likes of people like Cobuzz and Tidal are insanely into the game. Uh, and this would be an opportunity to talk about a collaboration that Music Direct has put together with you good folks over at Cambridge, a playlist which is available through Tidal, and it's a beautifully curated set by our team, by the team over at Cambridge. Greg, everybody pooled their resources to think about what in heaven's name would I be doing in this time in the quarantine. And the playlist is called Songs That Are Getting Us Through Quarantine. And this will be definitely something to play on your network audio players for sure, Joe. Tell me about what you guys must have been going through in that time to get this list together.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, the way I was looking at it, and I kind of represented this throughout the picks that I had for the playlist. Um, when this is such an unprecedented event in history, and this is something I've never lived through anything like this before. So it's really crazy. But the worst part about it, it's obviously not the worst part about it, but the one of the parts that has hurt me so much is that I was just this year I was going to go to 3 concerts from 3 of my favorite artists, and so of course you know they got postponed, and then they got canceled, or some got postponed to next year. So it's just like I was so looking forward to these concerts from 3 artists. There was Jacob Collier, who is a fantastic modern contemporary jazz fusion artist. He's great. He's won 4 Grammys for his a cappella arrangements of songs. He's a fantastic multi instrumentalist.
I
And then
love
also,
Jacob. I love Jacob.
uh,
Great sound. Really, really cool,
fantastic.
cool performer. And the others?
Oh yeah, yeah, and also Jukebox the Ghost, which
Okay.
is kind of this indie pop rock band. They're fantastic, and they're extremely talented musicians. So their live shows are always fantastic. And then lastly, which was the one I was possibly the most excited for, was a band called The Format. Now, if you've heard of the band Fun, the
Yes.
lead singer of Fun, Nate Roos, his original band was The Format, and they've been broken up for about 12 years now.
Wow.
So to announce a reunion tour, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. I'm going to be able to see. So I bought my tickets immediately, right? I bought them as soon as they were available, and I was like, yes, I'm going to go see this show, this band that I love, who has been broken up for 12 years. But then, of course, it's now postponed to next July. So I'm looking forward to seeing that concert in July, if the heavens allow. And but yeah, so I took some of my favorite tracks from those artists to the ones that I've been playing on repeat to kind of fill the empty live show hole in my heart. So that's something that I put into it. And then of course it's just the music that we're listening to, because I mean one of the things that I've always found with music is that music has a tremendous way of making you feel how the music wants you to feel, right? So the best way to kind of get through this, for me at least, and I know for some of the other people working at Cambridge, is to be listening to that music that makes you feel happy and makes you feel good. And it's a nice way of being able to escape kind of the dread and despair of this situation, and be able to still find joy in your life and joy in this fantastic music. So that's kind of how we put it all together.
Yeah, and it's a great amalgam of some of today's contemporary artists, plus a few classics thrown in for good measure, for people who may or may not know some of that sort of stuff. And I think that goes to the depth of your staff. I mean, here in Chicago, of course, that you would have that kind of microcosm of culture. I know whenever I walk into the offices at Music Direct in Chicago, which we hope to open soon, because there's 2 listening rooms just dying to be shown to our customers in the near future when we get to like level 20. But I think I think one of the things that is a saving grace in a daily activity for us when we're playing your equipment or playing music in general through a turntable or an amplifier or a streamer is the music is there for us to appreciate, and that it does give us not just the level of productivity when we're doing our job, which is that's that's SOP, but the capability
Mhm.
to let the music really move us, as you point out. And your list, again, available through Tidal, and just click away. We'll also send you the link. It's actually in this article on our video. So if you see it, go ahead and bookmark it in your Tidal database, and see what you think of it. It's going to be updated on a regular basis by our team. So Cambridge and I, or Cambridge and Music Direct, will sort of hash it out and go, no, you don't want to play that. Come on, really? That's depressing. No. we'll we'll be able to have fun with that as we go on. While we have a couple of minutes, and I know this is probably something we didn't plan before we went to air with you. As the retail liaison for Cambridge, I'm sure you are privy to all the things that are going on within the folks over there in Britain. But I guess my big question
Yeah.
is, with all these products that are out, is there anticipation of something even bigger coming from the folks over at Cambridge at this point?
Well, of course, there's not much that I can say, and there's not much that I know, but the stuff that I do know of, if you're a fan of Cambridge, there are some great products on the horizon that they're going to be coming out. There's not much that I can say at this point, obviously, but if you follow us on our social media or if you sign up for our newsletter, those are going to be the first places that you'll hear anything. So basically, all I'll say is that uh, we are, constantly developing new products. We always constantly want to be making new gear. And some of the new gear that's going to be coming out, in the future is some of the gear that I've been most excited about from seeing from Cambridge. So if you're a fan of Cambridge, if you're a fan of HiFi, be sure to check out our social media pages and keep an eye on those. And hopefully, we'll have more to talk about in the future.
Of course, that's also something that we at Music Direct will be following. So you're certainly welcome to visit our social media pages at Music Direct on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because when they get us to know about it, we're almost immediately right behind them and letting them know. Who knows? Maybe I'll just knock on Greg's door when I visit and go, dude, what did he say? What is he doing? So that kind of thing. Well done, Senator Buechel of the 10th District of Rhode Island. Uh, any final thoughts? How about the gear in general? The reception. How how is the audience for Music Direct and our team been treating you in terms of your desire to keep the lines of communication and the positivity about Cambridge Audio at our home base?
Well, yeah, in terms of final thoughts, first off, I mean, thank you for inviting me to this. I always have a great time talking with anybody about this stuff, so it was really fun to be here. And Music Direct, you guys, I love you guys. Chicago, you're probably one of the retailers that I visited most. And it's fantastic working in HiFi to have a resource like you, or to have resources as dealers, in general. Being able to go to somebody who's so knowledgeable, like you, Bess, or like anybody at Music Direct, is a fantastic resource. And of course, I couldn't recommend you guys enough as a retailer. And we've been
Pardon me
constantly
while I blush, and just. Well, that's
well,
great. That's great words. I obviously, on behalf of all of us at Music Direct and MusicDirect.com, we're tremendously pleased with our relationship. As always, you can find Cambridge Audio products on our website at MusicDirect.com. You also can sign up for sound bites, because you never know when there's a special between us and Cambridge Audio at your fingertips. Because if there's an amp on sale, if there's a headphone amplifier, if there's a latest generation music streamer or network audio player, it's all there at your fingertips at musicdirect.com. Of course, Cambridge Audio, of course, is the worldwide site for their products and their technologies. They also come up with a lot of cool, juicy bits of music and recommendations from time to time, so feel free to visit them. Final word from my side, other to say, Joe, it's been a treat. I know that you've got a lot on your plate, during this time. So I will see you in the kitchen, and we'll talk audio there. Uh, but seriously, though, from all of us at Music Direct, it's been a pleasure to see you, and thanks so much for being part of our scene.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time, and hopefully we'll do it again in the future.
No, we will. We will. We'll definitely plan some fun stuff as we go along in this very unusual time.